Hi, this is Eli Khnaser, and the following demo on auto deploy is from my VMware vSphere 5 training course. All right, so we've uploaded everything into the repository. We've created a root, a rule. We're all ready. Am I missing anything? Anyone? Bueller? During the presentation, I mentioned something. Anything else? Yes, we have to add the rule to the active set rules. Otherwise, it won't take effect. So to do that, what we're going to do, we're going to use the following command, which is add-deploy rule-deploy, and then the rule name that we just created. And as you can see, after it finished uploading everything and the rule was created and everything, it gave you sort of a summary of that particular rule. So its name, the MAC address that it's associated with, the image that it's associated with, and the particular folder or cluster for that matter in Virtual Center that it's going to be added to. So the comma and then whatever is after it, that could be a host profile, it could be the folder, it could be a cluster. So now let's make this part of the active rule set. I'm going to go ahead and click on OK, and voila. Now I'm going to reset my host and see if anything changes. Technically, it should boot right into ESXi and start the installation. So let's see if we did this right. Contacting the HCP, Pixie is going well. And there you have it. It is going to start the configuration of ESXi into the memory of this particular physical host that you are deploying. It'll take a few minutes, but it'll install it. After it installs it here into memory, it will then make it available or assign it or attach it inside of Virtual Center in a folder called staging that we have created ahead of time. And would you take a look at that? Tell me this is not a thing of beauty. This is really cool. There you go. Now take a look at this. It has already IP'd it. We are good to go. Now let's go ahead and switch back to Virtual Center and see if it added it in Virtual Center properly. We're going to go ahead and take a look, and I can see a plus sign here, so I know something is in there. Take a look at that. Tell me that is not cool. So right now, what we've done is we've added our ESXi host into the staging folder. The staging folder is our staging location before we actually move it into our production cluster. So it's going to take a few seconds here just to finish adding the host, etc., etc. But once it's added, then we can start creating a host profile for it. And the next step, we can move it into a particular cluster if we wanted to do so. And voila, there you go. So we now have added the ESXi host into our Virtual Center in a folder called staging. Now, technically, let's assume that we have a cluster in here called prod. This is our production cluster. And we want to be able to, after we've done our configuration to our host, after we get a host profile out of it, we want to move it into production. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to create a host profile out of this. So let's assume you make all your configuration changes, you get an NTP server, you have the server exactly the way you want it. You're going to right click on it, come down here where it says host profile, and we're going to create a profile from this particular host. Now, I'm going to call this ESX6 just for giggles, or ESXi6 for authenticity. And I'm also going to attach that particular host profile to this server. Now to do that, we're going to put the server in maintenance mode first. So we're going to right click on it, enter maintenance mode. Yes, please. Once the server is in maintenance mode, we're going to right click. We're going to drag down to host profile. We're going to apply profile. And yes, please apply, finish. Thank you very much. So now that we've applied, or we're in the process of applying the host configuration profile to this ESX host, what we've done so far is we've Pixie booted, we've created an image entry, profile entry for this host in vCenter. We've now created a host profile entry for this host, in Virtual Center as well. So now it's very easy for us to reboot this host or do whatever we need to do to it. First thing I want to do is I want to take it out of maintenance mode now that we have completed everything that we want to do to it. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to move it from staging and into production, into my prod cluster. So let me show you how we do that as well. All right, so let's bring back Power CLI. Now the first thing I want to do here is you can't modify a rule that is already active. You have to copy that rule and then make the modifications and the changes you want. So we're going to use this particular command. We're going to copy -deploy rule space -deploy rule. It's staging. That's the name of the rule that we have. And what we want to change here is we want to replace item. Instead of staging, we want to go with prod for our production cluster. So I'm going to click on enter to execute. And the enter command has executed and is already taken. So you can see that the replacement has already taken place here in my working set at this point. It's not my active set at this point because I've made a copy, right? So it's prod has taken effect. The next thing I want to do is I want to verify my host access. Now this is a command, and some of these commands that I'm showing you, you can choose to use or not at a later time. But you want to be able to modify or to verify the host accessibility. Can you attach to this particular host? Now to do that, we are going to run the following command. And the command is get-vmhost space -name and the name of the fully qualified domain of the ESX host that you want to verify. I'm going to click on enter. And voila, you'll see that it immediately verified that there's connectivity, this host is good, so on and so forth. So now we're ready to test this particular configuration. Again, I'm showing you all these commands that you might use or you might skip over sometimes once this become redundant and you're used to it. Now the interesting thing about what we're doing with how we test here, and I want to draw your attention to it, is you'll see we're using an environmental variable here, $TR. So we're going to use this environmental variable in the next command. So we're going to issue the test right now to see, this is going against our working set, to see if everything would work properly. So I'm going to go ahead and click on enter. And voila, it executed without any issues. Well, now that we know that this is valid and I'm ready to make my change, the last command to remediate is going to look as follows. Now it's called repair -deploy. It's not really it's not really repairing anything, but this is VMware's way of saying you're about to modify this. Now, as soon as I pasted it, it immediately took effect. So you'll see in the background here that it already moved it out of the staging folder, so the staging folder has nothing in it now, and into the production cluster, into prod as a production cluster. So this is how you move them back and forth between your folders and apply any kind of a particular profile to your ESXi host. Now you'll see that this is very, very straightforward. After you do it a few times, it becomes easy, but these are the different commands, and this is how you're able to manipulate auto deploy.
Thanks for watching. For more information regarding our training, please visit www.trainsignal.com.